simulan ang pangalawang yugto ng State of the South-Nation Address nito. I just would like to express in the strongest term our condemnation on the art exhibit right now being done at the CCP. Na doon ipinapakita ang ating Panginoong Hesus with a condom. At ibang mga bagay-bagay balat malign our faith. Dapat po magkaisa tayo, mga kaibigan, na kundinahin ang art na ito. Hindi po ito art. This is an insult to the very soul of this nation. And I am not happy about it. I am angry, and we must be angry. Let me now give my speech. The state of the economy. We are told that the economy grew by 7.6% last year. That our overseas Filipino workers remitted $18.8 billion and helped to push our gross international reserves up to a record $63 billion. And that the foreign credit ratings agencies, namely Standard & Poor, Moody's and Fitch, have all upgraded our credit rating. We are further told that fewer Filipinos today consider themselves poor. Oh, is it true? That the government is doing everything to create jobs, ensure self-sufficiency in food, reduce the costs of doing business in the country through large infrastructure projects under its public-private sector participation program. That has been good to hear. But what are the facts? Last year's growth was mainly due to unregulated election spending rather than to any economic program. And the credit for it, if any, would have to belong to the previous administration. The growth target has since been pared down to 4.9%. Pero hindi po natin sinisisi ang administrasyon ito. Do we have any new sources of economic growth? Apart from the OFW remittances, and God bless them, the call centers, and other IT-related services, we virtually have none. Of course, hindi ko sinisisi ang ating administrasyon. Manufacturing is dead. Unemployment is up at 11.1 million and counting. Millions of those employed are on contracts that end after every 5 months. No new jobs have been created to replace those that have been lost in Libya, Japan, the countries visited by the Arab Spring, and Saudi Arabia, which recently suspended the hiring of Filipino domestic workers. Of course, hindi ko sinisisi ang administrasyon. Last year, more Chinese Filipinos made it to Forbes magazine's listing of the world's dollar billionaires. And a number of unlisted, undocumented, and untaxed billionaires seem to be waiting in the wings. But from 2003 to 2009, poverty incidence rose from 24.9% to 26.5%. Despite the fact that the average GDP growth rate of 5.4% from 2003 to 2006 and 4.3% from 2006-2009 had long surpassed the population growth rate of 1.9%. Of course, hindi ko sinisisi ang no major investors have come in. Government efforts to attract foreign investments have had to contend with the negative effects of the cancellation of big contracts involving foreign parties. The most glaring example is the Lake Laguna Development Authority project, which has resulted in a multi-billion peso legal claim against the government filed by the billion partners. Tourism had been targeted as a major money maker. Thus, the President declared an open skies policies even without full reciprocal rights for the Philippine flag carrier. But the International Aviation downgrade on Ninoy Aquino International Airport continues, while NAIA 3 remains the subject of an unresolved legal dispute and has not been made fully operational. Of course, hindi ko sinisisi ang administration. There are no even decent lavatories and lounges for arriving or departing passengers. The support system for world-class tourism is simply not there. And Hong Kong, the US, UK, Australia, and New Zealand have canceled their travel advisories, have not canceled their travel advisories against the Philippines. For the first time in memory, a new government appropriated nothing with infrastructures or for infrastructure. It wanted to report savings. So not a single infrastructure project was undertaken during the year. Many frontline departments, like the Department of Foreign Affairs, suffered arbitrary cuts. The highly favored DSWD alone got a bloated largesse of 21.9 billion pesos in conditional cash transfer. We are going back to a dole-out mentality system. Of course, hindi ko sinisisi ang administration. Then all departments were told to withhold 20% of their respective budgets as saving. So economic activity contracted. And while some economists were trying to cope with the recession exported from the transatlantic crisis, our economic planners seem to be trying to create one for the Philippines. Not a single project under the much ballyhooed PPP was awarded either. The T-Plex or Tarlac, Pampanga and La Union Expressway project could end up being counted as a PPP project, but it was begun 3.5 years ago before the PPP program was announced. Beloved, what is the poverty picture? The nation's wealth may have grown in real terms, but new forms of poverty have appeared and the inequalities have grown sharper. Between the super rich and the dirt poor is a yawning gap, and nothing is at work to make the poverty more bearable. And many of those who have turned politics into a lucrative family business are as rich as the poorest of the poor are poor. Of course, hindi ko sinisisi ang administrasyon.